Okay. Are we working? Loud and clear here? Let me know. All right. Looks like we are on board here. Okay. Sorry everybody for the delay. This is the day delay and the the delay this morning. Had some technical difficulties. I want to open with a profound apology for all the chaos going on right now. It's unfortunately not something that I am okay with talking about, just because I'm not on that end of the team. So everything going on with Peer and everything else, I'm not going to be able to discuss. But we are going to dive into the games. I've got some news, some of it really cool, some of it slightly less than cool. Well, I think it's long term cool. So let's just get that out of the way initially. I know we are dying for information and progress on Berserk, and it's something that the team is very focused on. It's something that Jamie and I are very focused on, and the team that has been working on it has not quite been checking the boxes that we needed to be checked, and I think you all know that it's been taking longer than we'd hoped, and so we are actually going to be shifting to another team. And I'm so sorry about that. That is going to push some stuff back a little bit, but I promise you, it is going to have a much better return on this. This is a team that is very experienced with card games, and this is something that's very much in their wheelhouse. I think they will take to this. They're not going to have the delays and the worries that we had before, but unfortunately, it is going to be a little bit of delay. That's the bad news that I have to deliver, but I think it's long-term good news. And I can't give you any of the names specifically until everything's, the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. But that's what's happening with Berserk. We have talked about so many cool, big, important things with the game. We want to make sure that it's with a team that can handle that can do that. So, anyway, we're gonna open with that. So on the other side, we've got a cool tournament coming up. And I think maybe one of the better ways to introduce that tournament is we now have a new kind of community games ambassador, if you will, Sal. And I don't know if you guys know Sal, if you've already interacted with him, but he is like the man on the floor. He is absolutely the right guy to be talking to. In fact, Ness, did we get Sal on board? Because I know he had a lot of stuff going on right now, so we were hoping he would be in this chat. Okay, he is here. And Sal, do you want to in the chat like share your kind of your info, how people can find you and chat with you? There he is. He's the little Mega Man. And anyway, just so you all know, we want to make sure there are so many conversations, so many great ideas, so many questions about the games. And with me spending time, elbows deep in the game with the dev teams, we wanted to make sure that you had somebody that could be that voice, that person to talk to. So he lives in Discord. Most of you have DMs with him anyway, but speak in Discord, he will find you. We've got some quips about him. He has an attachment to this game, so happy to help you guys along the way. Yeah, Sal is great. And super energized to be, I feel bad because I know we'll get some of these questions stacked up in Cameron's Canyon there, and I can't quite get to them as quickly. And so Sal is going to be the pistolero right there. So that's good news. I did, however, spend a good morning with Daredevil, the lead in Berserk, and had so much fun digging into that. It's fun playing with a dev in their game and having a chat open and being able to talk about potential, and talking with him about where we want to go with Vulcanverse as kind of the central hub and what Hexagonos can do in that arena. And so highly recommend, if you haven't jumped in and played Hexagonos, please do so. It's it's a different type of game than just about anything else that we've got right now. It's tactical. It's got some nuance, some really cool strategic movement of armies and places. And of course, the minute I was playing this, I was thinking, oh, this is the game that the gods play standing around a table. This is like their Warhammer. I don't know if you guys know that game, but where they're like moving pieces around on a tabletop. Except since they're gods that are doing this, that they're not just Warhammer pieces. That actually replicates actual wars and actual battles happening down on Earth, sort of thing. So we've got lots of ideas of how to kind of upgrade this game, but it's really fun right now. I'm sure Daredevil would tell you, get in to get a sense for how the game is played, and what's being done is absolutely playable. But we're going to add so many bells and whistles to this game. We've got an exciting list of things we want to do, but of course, we're only going to do that if you guys are excited to see that go through, because we do this hand in hand with you. So please jump in. I would love to get some dialogue about some creative input upgrades. What things do you want to see happening? For me, just because I got my start as an illustrator, as an animator, one of the first things I see jumping in is, what does the art look like? What is the what is the animation doing? And so that's the part where I think it's we can do a little bit more shine to it. Currently it has, and Devil told me, like, this is all kind of stand-in art right now. It's got just kind of some little Photoshop-y paintings around the sides. I'm like, how cool would it be if you literally had, because you've already got kind of the edges of a table there, if you literally had the gods standing around, and as you move the pieces, they'll throw down a lightning bolt, or they're showing some divine power that is moving these things around. And then, don't hold me to this, like, what I would love to do, and I suggested it, and there was like a long pause on the other end, which means he was thinking about how many like months of work this would be. But I would love if your character that you've created in Vulcanverse can be standing there when you decide to play as yourself. And so basically your opponent, if you're doing, like we've talked about this, if you're doing a PvP, which is, we're still waiting to go in, your opponent is another god, and they use tactics that are similar to what would Neptune do as a tactic, what would Vulcan do as a tactic. What are these different gods? Is one going to be more aggressive, more DPS? One going to be more fortressy and defensive? And we talked about doing something similar with Berserk, but I'm like, this kind of plays through. This actually kind of works for Hexagonos as well. And so let's see. Let's get caught up here. Just having some good chat. All right, so Miguel says, where are we at with Vulcan 11? I think the game could bring a lot of movement to Vulcan Forge. We'll have some betting opponent, enter tournaments, commit. Okay, I'm not sure what Vulcan 11 means. Somebody want to clarify? I'm still learning a lot of the old terminology for some of these games. But I will jump into talking about some of the other cool stuff that we're getting going for Vulcanverse right now. We've just finished a first round of the opening cinematics of the character creation. I told you my focus is really going to be on the Fatui moving forward, and we're bringing it into something that's going to feel like the minute you start playing the game, the minute you walk through the gates, you're in this world. And I might have even done some voiceover stuff which I've done previously on some other projects. And so listen closely the next time you see the cinematic. Some voice might be a bit familiar there. So, okay. V11 is on hold as it stands. No new details at the moment. Okay. Yes, Astro. I think it might be my voice. I don't want to give away everything, but listen closely. There might be some subtle hints there. And so that's where we are with that. Let's see. We're still looking at moving. We're talking about concepts about how to move access to the games into Vulcanverse. And again, appreciate your patience on this. I wish it could happen with a quick click of the fingers right like that, but it's taken a little bit of time to do so. But I think it's going to, we're still debating right now the landing page, which is kind of has everything right there and is a little unclear on where to go first and how to start this adventure, of either reconfiguring that or making it somehow accessible within Vulcanverse. And so it's big stuff to talk about this. We're trying to think of how do we want players to approach this. If we do have players that just want to play the Berserk, are they going to want to go in and create a character, or are we going to make that part of the adventure, and you kind of have to take a part of this sort of thing. And so I've not made a decision on that just yet. I think the game plan right now is we're going to put in these Fatui changes in Vulcanverse and these other games, and see how our audience reacts, how you react to this new experience, and see if we can get some new fresh faces in as well. So anyway, let's see. Do we have any questions about anything here? Let me read through. Okay. Well, if not, I've got a discussion point for you that I'd love to get your thoughts on. So we've got plans for this meta ball, kind of pulling it out, but making that the focus, the kind of the paintball game right there. And for me, if you know me, I am all about cohesiveness and that focus and the IP that we built here together. So I would, and this is very, very formative right now. I would love to push the idea of Metaball being a part of the Vulcan Forge universe. Now, hear me out, because I know that sounds kind of weird. But if we can do something where there is a challenge of the demigods for those, younger, lower powered gods wishing to become part of the greater pantheon, you must prove yourself in the arena. So it's kind of a gladiator sort of thing. But since our Vulcan universe is going to be similar to the Asgard in the MCU, it's going to be this mixture of science fiction and fantasy sort of a thing going on right there. So what if instead of bright neon paint gun, you had a spear or a crossbow or something, and when you tag somebody with it, it's a bright bolt of crackling red lightning or blue lightning, or and so instead of paint, it's divine colors and powers that you're painting. And maybe depending on the god whose favor you have, like if it's Neptune, you can cast a swirl of water around them and it's slows them down, or the electricity makes their weapons go defunct for a minute or stuns them. And so it's like paintball plus, it's the idea of paintball. I know we want to do a game that is not violent blood and guts sort of thing. We've already got Tartarus, we've already got Royale. This is something that we just want to make it more fun and appealing to maybe younger ages. But I really want to. I think it would be cool if it still felt like something that was a part of our greater universe. It was a part of a challenge of the demigods, and is something that would be unlike any other paintball game you've ever seen. So, yeah, exactly. Midnight Castle Lady, demigod training, basically. Astro says, I think Metaball would be better with funny weapons that can humiliate opponents like Shrink Rays. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. None of them are, I'm going to get a headshot and blast your head off sort of thing. But depending on the gods, and even we can even do something that is in the vibe of the gods. Like if there was, for instance, if you got the drinking horn of Dionysus or something like that, blasting your opponent with that can make them all of a sudden get super drunk, and maybe the screen gets blurry, and maybe they stumble around. Their controls are like maybe their controls get reversed where forward is back and left is right. Might be kind of fun. I like the idea of if you've got Neptune, it's something aquatic, like the water gets slippery or the floor gets slippery, or maybe it's a push. Maybe it's simply like, I don't know if you ever played Half-Life with the gravity gun. Remember, they could push things or pull things. If we do Vulcan, maybe it's lava comes up, erupts out of the floor, or you could encase somebody in magma and they can't get out. They have to break out in a couple seconds. But I love the idea of doing funny stuff too. Like if we did I don't know, like an Aphrodite, maybe you just become so encompassed with love that you become a clinger and you like follow whatever player is the nearest. You follow that player around and you can't shoot for 10 seconds or something like that. It might be a lot of fun to really do full character on these sort of things. And I realize right now the devs that are listening to me saying this are pulling their hair out because this is a lot more work than just paintball. But I think there are so many paintball games out there, really kind of mediocre ones. And what I want to do with all of our games is take them to that next level. And I want this to be somewhere where again, somebody who may have never heard of Vulcan Forge, has never heard of Period, has never heard of Web3, right? Would be like, oh, you got to play this game. It's hilarious. You pick a different god, and maybe around the arena there are different altars to the different gods, and you go to those altars to get that different blessing or the different weapon from them. Could be something really interesting. Hermes, for instance, maybe that gives you, or I think it's Mercury. I'm always trying to get the Greek Roman thing right, but maybe that gives you like a speed weapon, or maybe you shoot at somebody and they just go at ridiculous ramming speed into a wall or something like that. So Lumpy, turn your opponent into weak ass fairy promo. Yeah, like something transformative. You know what would be good? Wasn't it Neptune's wife? I know Zeus's wife, Hera, was always catching him like with nymphs and girls and stuff like that, and so she would transform. Instead of punishing her husband, she would transform them into different animals or fairies or things like that. And so it could be like a staff of Hera's judgment or something like that does a transformative thing. We could have the mirror of Narcissus, and maybe it's this mirror that like for a minute you just like can only see your mirror right in front of yourself, and so it's kind of like blocks your viewpoint sort of thing. I know a lot of these are sounding like frustrating things, but I think if they were done well and they were done for just a few seconds, so it wasn't like aggravatingly long, it could be really, really funny. Okay. Miguel says in the future we need a Worms Armageddon. Honestly, that would be a great game. Like showing maybe it's like the dead wandering down to Hades and they're the worms going down there, something like that. It's a great idea, Miguel. Is the non-NFT gameplay going to be the focus for all games, or just Web3 only still going to dominate the vibe? You know what? Call me an idealist, but I still believe that we can do both. I think because any game you play, whether it's Tetris or checkers or World of Warcraft, has rewards. Has prizes, and sometimes that prize is leveling up, sometimes that prize is victory, sometimes that prize is a shiny, chimpanzee NFT. And so I think they can both work. The real trick, of course, is to make it so that it's not dominated by a play to win sort of scenario, so you feel like you can do well, but that you've got that feeling of uncovering a prize of that I think can absolutely work on both sides. I don't think they're diametrically opposed. Okay, let's see. Astro says Cupid's arrow, Medusa. Oh, Medusa, of course. I mean, yeah, we've got to have the. Okay, and then what if there's like it would be cool if there were some counters as well. So you've got Medusa's gaze, and maybe we do it just like in the Clash of the Titans, where you literally hold up the head and they turn stone. But if you've got the mirror of Narcissus, you can turn that and reflect it back, and maybe you could even like angle it around anybody you wanted. That might be kind of fun too, having some stuff that really plays off each other. She turned me into a newt. I got better. Hey, quotes from Monty Python's Holy Grail are always allowed. Yes, that would be really good. Um, let's think of what are some other fun things we could do. Like, I really want this to be something again, like all our games, that just stands out. Um, and I think a lot of what we're talking about, like the default gameplay for just your basic FPS shooter paintball sort of thing, that's kind of the default, and I think we can do better than that with a little more thought, a little more focus on what we're doing. And I would love to look at doing prizes that literally show your demigod's ranking. Maybe we do a leaderboards thing, and the top 3 in the leaderboard every month are granted divine status. You are no longer a demigod for a week or something like that, and you have better collection odds. Maybe you get a Vulcanite that is some like high-powered, Vulcanite. There's something there. Definitely something there. So Midnight says, have someone become a tree for 5 seconds. Oh yeah, 100%. Well, so first of all, Hera was always turning nymphs into trees. So that could be one of Hera's things. Or we could go, it's just like a nymph power, what is that? Have you guys seen Disney's Fantasia? There was one in, oh no, it's not actually, hold on that. It's in there, but it's in Disney's Hercules, where the Danny DeVito satyr character is chasing after these nymphs, and one of them turns into a tree to escape him. I wonder if we could have there's one of the weapons turns people into something. Another one allows you to turn into something. I remember in this is going way back, World of Warcraft, the druid, if you were a resto druid, you could turn into a treant, basically a walking tree character. So what if you could turn yourself into this powerful, armored, healing character that was slower in vital times to kind of save your life? It might be kind of fun. And then dances and emotes. That's what the kids want these days. Of course, Astro. I mean, you got to have dances, you got to have emotes, you got to have skins, and wacky hairstyles and stuff like that. That's just, that's how Fortnite made its way out. So anyway, we've got some great ideas here, guys. I'm gonna go through and get some of these written down. I met with the dev team before I came into this discussion. I said, hey, I want you guys to know I'm going to throw this out here. And so, just be prepared for like there being some wild and crazy ideas coming down the pike. And they were actually cool with it. So very, very excited about kind of exploring what we can do with this. So any other ideas or questions here? I realize we started a little bit late, but so current meta ball is very difficult against the bots. Yeah, I've noticed that, Cat Lady. Like I got in and played a couple rounds, and and that's something we can easily turn the dial on, But for me, I just I always go into a game asking the question, why would I choose to play this game instead of 10 of the other games out there? And of course, we've got it's in the economy and everything else like that. I just think adding the style and the narrative and a little bit of the humor that we've talked about here would set it into in a whole different space, Anyway, so Lumpy, thank you so much. Yeah, hey, listen, I really do believe this is going to be for the best. This is a team that is I believe going to be able to look at everything that we propose and be like, we can knock that out. Again, they've got experience with games like this, and so it's going to be a better call in the long run. We're trying to be responsible with the trust that you guys have placed in us, and this one felt like it was the right call. So appreciate you recognizing that, guys. Otherwise, Thank you everybody for jumping on board. That was a fun like creative jam session. That is my favorite way to build out ideas. It's just like let's get everybody's brain going. Let's like fire off on as many cylinders as we can. If you have another idea that you want to throw out, jump in Cameron's corner right there, Cameron's corner canyon, and we'll continue the discussion. Otherwise, thanks everybody. Take care.